Chapter 8, The Feedback Loop. Listen to what isn't said. The lie of active listening. If you have ever taken a corporate communication workshop, you have been taught active listening. You were taught to nod your head. You were taught to say, uh-huh. You were taught to paraphrase what the other person said, so what I hear you saying is... I want you to forget about all of that. Active listening, as it is taught in most business schools, is performative. It is about looking like you are listening. It is a social nicety. But in high-stakes business, being polite doesn't get you paid. Being accurate does. Strategic listening is different. It is not about reflecting their words back to them. It is about decoding the subtext. It is about understanding that what people say is rarely what they mean. Humans are protective. We hide our insecurities, our fears, and our lack of authority behind safe, logical complaints. We complain about the price when we are actually afraid of the commitment. We complain about the design when we are actually afraid of the launch. If you fix the surface complaint without addressing the hidden fear, you are playing a game of whack-a-mole. You will fix the price, and they will complain about the timeline. You will fix the timeline, and they will complain about the contract terms. You are chasing symptoms. Communication creates results when you stop chasing symptoms and start treating the disease. In this chapter, we're going to learn how to hear what isn't being said. We are going to learn how to spot the red herrings, the fake objections that distract you from the real deal breakers. The case study, the blue problem. Let's look at a classic example of a feedback loop gone wrong. A project manager at a digital agency was overseeing the launch of a new website for a major client. The deadline was 2 weeks away. Suddenly, the client started sending emails. First, it was the font. I don't think this serif font conveys our modern values. The PM changed the font. Then it was the color palette. This blue feels a little too aggressive. Can we try a softer blue? The PM changed the blue. Then it was the photography. These stock photos look too staged. The PM was frustrated. He told his team, this client is impossible. They are nitpicking everything. He was ready to fight them on the scope of work. But then he paused. He looked at the pattern. The client hadn't complained for 3 months. Now, 2 weeks before the launch, they were picking apart tiny details. Why? He realized it wasn't about the font. It wasn't about the blue. It was about the date. The client was terrified of the launch. They weren't ready internally. Their content wasn't done. Their sales team wasn't trained. But admitting that would make them look incompetent. So instead of saying, we aren't ready, they subconsciously sabotaged the project to buy time. The PM got on the phone. He didn't talk about the color blue. He said, I've noticed we're going back and forth on design details quite a bit. Usually when this happens, it's because there is some anxiety about the go-live date. How is the team feeling about the 15th? Do we need to adjust the timeline to give you more breathing room? There was a long silence. Then the client exhaled. Honestly, we are drowning. We don't have the product descriptions written. If we launch on the 15th, the site will be empty. The font was fine. The blue was fine. The fear was the timeline. Once they moved the launch date by 2 weeks, the design complaints vanished instantly. This is how you win clients. You don't win by being a pixel pusher who does exactly what they ask. You win by being a strategic partner who solves the problem they are afraid to articulate. The law of the red herring. In business, a red herring is a misleading clue. It is a logical objection that masks an emotional blocker. How do you spot them? You look for disproportionate friction. If a client is screaming about a $500 line item in a $50,000 contract, that is disproportionate. If a stakeholder is blocking a massive initiative because of a minor formatting issue in the report, that is disproportionate. When the reaction doesn't match the stimulus, you are dealing with a red herring. The real issue is almost always one of 3 things. Loss of control. They feel like you are driving too fast and they are just passengers. Loss of face, they are afraid this decision will make them look bad to their boss. Loss of budget, they don't have the money, but they are too embarrassed to admit they can't afford you. If you argue logic against a red herring, you lose. You can prove that the $500 fee is standard, but you won't get the signature because the $500 isn't the problem. You guide the conversation by bypassing the distraction and aiming for the root cause. Tactical framework, the It Seems Audit. How do you surface the truth without offending them? You cannot say, "You are lying to me." You use the It Seems Audit. This is a labeling technique used by hostage negotiators to identify the hidden emotion. When you hear a red herring, do not defend your position. Instead, label their underlying state. Script 1 for the micromanager. The distraction, they are CCing 10 people and checking your work every hour. The audit, it seems like you are worried that this project is going to drift off track if you aren't watching it closely. Why it works? You are validating their fear of losing control. Usually, they will say, "Yes, the last vendor screwed this up and I got blamed. Now you know the real trauma." Script 2 for the indecisive client. The distraction, we just need to run this by the committee again for the third time. The audit, it seems like there is someone on your team who still isn't fully sold on this direction. Why it works? You are calling out the hidden stakeholder. They might admit, "Yeah, the CFO hates it." Now you know you need to sell the CFO, not the person you are talking to. Script 3 for the price haggler. The distraction, can you sharpen your pencil on this quote? The audit, it seems like you see the value, but the budget for this specific quarter is already allocated. Why it works? You give them a safe way to admit they are broke right now. They might say, "Exactly. If you can bill us in Q3, we can sign today." Notice the recurring phrase, "it seems." This is non-threatening. It is an observation, not an accusation. It invites them to correct you or confirm the truth. The AI feedback loop. Let's integrate artificial intelligence. In the digital world, feedback often comes in high volumes. Hundreds of emails, support tickets, or reviews. You cannot have a deep conversation with every single data point. But AI makes you faster, not weaker. You can use AI to perform strategic listening at scale. Most companies use simple keyword analysis. They count how many times people say slow or expensive. That is surface level. Try this instead. Take your last 50 customer support tickets or emails and feed them into an LLM. Use this prompt. Analyze the subtext of these emails. Don't just tell me what they're complained about. Tell me the underlying emotion. Are they frustrated, confused, or disappointed? What is the unspoken expectation that we failed to meet? The AI might tell you, while customers are complaining about the login process, the underlying sentiment is distrust. They feel the security steps are excessive because they don't trust your brand with their data yet. That is a massive insight. Fixing the login button won't fix the distrust. You need to fix your brand messaging. Use AI to listen to the whisper behind the shout. The negative space. Finally, you must learn to listen to the negative space. What are they not talking about? If you are pitching a marketing strategy and the client talks about brand awareness, clicks, and likes, but never mentions revenue or sales, that is a siren. It means they might not be measured on revenue, or it means they are terrified of being held accountable for revenue. If you pitch a revenue-focused strategy to a person who is hiding from revenue metrics, you will scare them away. Strategic listening requires you to notice the void. I noticed we haven't discussed the implementation timeline yet. We haven't talked about who ultimately signs off on this budget. Bring the negative space into the conversation. I noticed we've talked a lot about the creative, but not much about the ROI targets. Is that something we need to define now, or is that not a priority for this quarter? Their answer will tell you exactly how to close the deal. Your next step. Here is your challenge for Chapter 8. Go through your current stalls deals or problem projects. Find the one where the client is being difficult, unresponsive, or picky. Stop trying to solve the surface complaint. Ask yourself, what are they protecting? Are they protecting their budget, Are they protecting their ego? Are they protecting their job? Then send an email or get on a call and use a label. It seems like we are stuck on surface issue. I want to make sure I'm not missing the bigger picture. Is there a concern about hidden fear that we should address? Be brave enough to ask the real question. When you clear the red herrings, you clear the path to the signature. You have listened, you have understood, you have removed the emotional blockers. Now there is nothing left to do but close. But most people fumble at the finish line. They get timid. They ask for permission instead of assuming the sale. You have earned the right to lead. Now you need to take them across the line. You mastered the feedback. Now you need the commitment.